Is Love Blind? Today we're going to give you 3 reasons why we think and know love truly is blind. Let's get into it now. Hey everyone, welcome to the Home to Haven podcast. Thank you for tuning in, for clicking, for listening, for downloading, however you're listening or watching. We appreciate it so very much. So this is our 1-year anniversary to the Home to Haven podcast. I'm so excited. We're so grateful. It's been a journey.
That's right.
It's been a lot of hard work.
It's been fun.
It's been fun chatting with you, my partner.
That's right.
And also for you. So thank each and every one of you for listening, for watching. Can't do without you. So thanks so much. Today, we're kind of just doing a riff, unscripted.
Yeah.
No, we just said, let's just sit down and start recording.
Just have a conversation.
Have a convo.
That's right.
We do watch Love is Blind, like
we do.
All of us in the country.
Okay. It's a very popular show right now, right?
Very popular show. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you probably didn't click on the video because you didn't know what Love is Blind is about.
Well, if they're still watching because they're our loyal viewers, what's the premise for Love is Blind as the show?
Love is Blind is people who are young.
Yeah,
typically young, dating, unsuccessful. They go on these pods. They do not see the person they're dating.
They don't see them.
And they have conversation with the person they're dating. And they may fall in love. They don't fall in love. If they do fall in love, they can propose.
Right.
Sight unseen. They meet them for the first time. They're engaged. And then they got 4 weeks to get married.
Right. So it's like a round robin. So they get to date a whole bunch of people and kind of figure out for me? Who connects just through conversation, because you cannot see them at all.
Right.
And a lot of them also don't talk about anything physical, like physical attributes and things like that.
For me.
That's right. So they want to know, is love truly blind?
Right.
Because then they do. Couples will propose and then they come out of the pods and meet each other and then try to live life.
Right. So how this relates to Oak Haven is we believe love is blind, number 1, because love is not deaf, DEAF.
Okay.
So you have to, and this show proves, that a strong connection, a social, intimate, soulish connection is formed when you sit down and you are transparent and you really talk with someone. You can fall in love. And you get emotionally attached to someone else.
Right. When they truly are communicating with somebody else.
100%.
You can form a really strong bond, right?
Deep emotional bond. Right. And so as it pertains to couples where we coach in communication, it's so key, because when you stop that communication, when you stop talking, when you stop listening, actively listening, then you become separated, and that bond becomes slowly over time, a rift begins to form. Right.
Or if you let outside factors,
100%.
start affecting, because these couples have communicated to a point where they're like, I'm in love with you. I'm ready to get married to you.
Right.
And then they go out in real life and a lot of the outside factors start pressing in on what they built through that communication, right?
Good point.
Right.
Point. Yeah. So family is a huge one. Family influence to start breaking down those connections. Money starts breaking down those connections.
Friends.
Former friends and former situationships erodes those.
And even physical features can...
Physical features, can.
Yeah, can kind of cut off that, what that communication built.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's important that you maintain, and not just maintain, but you go to another level in communicating with your significant other, with your partner, that you all take time to dig deep and get transparent, whether you are 3 months in, 3 days in, 3 years in, 30 years in.
Right.
You got to continue to dig deep and not get complacent, but allow that emotional connection, allow, what was formed years ago on that first date to continue to grow and continue to, fan the flames, as they say.
Yeah. So this is a question just popped in my head.
Okay.
So do you think if couples that are already in a relationship would take that time, set aside time to communicate again how they do in the pods and just kind of separate themselves, but just literally put everything else aside and like, hey, we're just going to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And not even necessarily look at each other? Because do you think sometimes somebody's nonverbal behavior or how they're responding affects how the communication and conversation goes? Like, do you think that's a big factor?
On the person, it depends, because if you're kind of emotional, you might think what your facial expression, or
Right.
we read too much into things sometimes, but it also goes to show how the nonverbals or even the non-facials play a huge point in communicating. There's another show you watch, Love in Translation. And so this is people are dating and they can't speak the same language.
Right.
And so they've got to use no communicate. They've got to communicate without words.
Yes.
Touch and sight.
Gestures.
And eyes. Your eyes speak, right? The light of the body is in the eyes, the Bible says. And so it's really important that you are taking time to use the things that we give you. We talk about in listening actively. We talk about in scheduling with intent. We have the planner for people to, for you all to, plan dates and plan your relationship times and schedule these times throughout the week where you and your partner get together.
Right.
When you do these, all these things are like a big puzzle, and they come together to make sure that your home is a haven. It's a place of peace,
Absolutely.
a place of joy, a place of love, where you want to be, where you just cannot get enough of. That's God's plan for our lives. What you, that you have life and have it more abundantly.
Amen.
That's to the full till overflows. And so that's what we are here for.
That's right. So we said that love is blind, but
love is blind, but it is deaf.
It's deaf.
Is it not? No, it's not deaf.
It's not deaf, right? We need to hear those words, right? We need that conversation. Yeah.
Number 2, it's blind because love does not take account of wrong.
Right.
So 1 Corinthians 13 talks about how love takes no account of a suffered wrong.
Okay.
So I'm not sitting here, strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, you're out.
And I feel like that happens a lot in the dating stage, which is, I feel like, where the phrase came from, because everybody falls in love so blindly because they're not really paying attention to that. Okay. But then when you get married, you might start not thinking those things are so cute anymore. Okay. I hear a lot. Okay. And those things do start to pile up, and you do start to wonder about those things. Okay. So that's where the phrase originally, love is blind, and so it makes you fall in love. But then
you look over the stuff that you really should pay attention to.
Right.
Well, that's not love.
Okay.
So that you're in lust.
Correct. Okay. Correct.
You're just in heat trying to,
Okay. You're not looking at the flags. Right. You're just looking at something else. But when you have true love, is what we're saying, it will look over.
Right. So
over
true
wrongs.
Love looks over faults. Now, not the deal breakers. The deal breakers are the things, hopefully you didn't ignore a deal breaker or a red flag that said stop and you still did it anyway.
Right.
You got to kind of simmer in that. Mm-hmm. But the things that might annoy me, or the things that you do, they're just normal. Well, love's not sitting there going strike 1 today, and Jen messed up today, and she made me, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Love looks past all those things. And love also isn't saying, well, I did this for you. What have you done for me?
Yeah. What are you going to do back for me?
Right. That's not the agape kind of
right. Or even when your spouse maybe makes a mistake, right, and hurts you unintentionally, right. And then you're going to overlook that wrongdoing. It's easier when they come and say, will you forgive me, and apologize and things like that. But when you truly love someone, you're able to look past those things, because we know that everybody makes mistakes and they're not perfect.
Yeah. So that's the point, that love is blind, is looking past all those things. Mm-hmm. And it's giving a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance, a fifth chance to get it right.
Gotcha.
To get the dishes out of the sink, or to, remember to bring home the groceries, or to pick up the underwear off of the bed, the floor, right. Or whatever it is. Those little things that sometimes can annoy us. Love is looking past that. It's not getting so irritated through those things.
Because in reality, that's not what truly, truly matters, right?
No. One thing that I think we had a conversation about, again, this is way back when we were dating, and if you're listening to this and you are dating, we have a resource that I'm going to throw out there. Okay. It is 30 questions to ask your partner. Then it's 180 questions.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We have. Mm-hmm. It just goes through so much. I would strongly encourage you, even if you are married.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go to oakhavencompany.com, click on academy. Is it courses?
Courses. Yep. It'll be under our courses.
And it's just an amazing thing to invest in because we talked about we're not going to let the little things like wreck us.
Right.
And so it's not worth arguing where we're going to eat for dinner. Like that's not, no. Whose house are we going over to for the holidays? I'm not going to allow Thanksgiving meal
to destroy
a
marriage. Right.
Like, no.
Right.
I'm not going to allow guys' night or girls' night
right.
to destroy. Like, no.
Or you keep leaving the dishes in the sink after I've asked you to put them in the dishwasher.
We're not compatible anymore.
Yeah, I can't handle this.
I can't handle this, and you don't appreciate me, and we're just, and again, that blame language, and the defenses are up, and we gotta reel it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And remember, God's love is blind. I'm not looking at this, and there's a way to have a conversation around that, and it not go.
Absolutely. Definitely check out our last podcast episode. We talked about how to get through those conversations. It's a good one as well.
Absolutely. So again, love is not deaf. We're going to communicate and talk through.
Right.
When you love someone, that's the key. It's the foundation. I'm going to come to resolve. I'm going to come to resolute. Love is blind because it doesn't take account to a suffered wrong.
Right. Absolutely.
And love is blind because it lasts long. It's long suffering.
Okay.
It is something that never ends, never fades. And we're talking about something that we can't do in our own ability.
Absolutely.
Right. So this is not the Jen love. This is the God's love in Jen, or the God's love in Terrell, the God's love in you. You can't love your spouse through every single, I think you said it a few episodes ago. Every day, I'm not going to get up at 100.
Right.
Good morning, sweet pea. Kisses. What kind of, it's not going to happen every single day.
Right.
And then sustain that all throughout the day.
Right.
And then come and face all the junk out there. Then come home and be, good evening, sweet pea. It's not.
And meet every need that I have that I haven't even spoken. I'm just expecting you to know that I need this today, or know that I want to have it this way, and things like that. Just those unrealistic expectations that we put on.
Where do we get unrealistic expectations?
Well, I think first and foremost, we're looking at ourselves, right? We're putting ourselves above other things, and like, we want it this way. I want it to be this way. This is how it has to be for it to flow the way it needs to be. And so we just expect in our marriage, because marriage is like the ultimate relationship. At least society tells us that's our ultimate relationship. And so you have one husband, and that husband should be able to meet all your fantasies, all your dreams, all the time, have, your fairy tale wedding, and then you live happily ever after is kind of what's portrayed a lot of the times. And we don't take into account reality, and that person is not going to be able to meet all of your needs, period, but definitely not all your needs all the time, every day, when you want them, how you want them.
Right. I think we're getting expectations from a lot of the place we need to get our expectations is God's word, because that's what we can bank on. And we're looking at shows, and we're looking at scrolls and timelines and seeing how other people function.
The highlights,
and thinking these snippets represent the entire thing.
Right.
And that's not the case.
Absolutely not the case.
It's not real. And so it's very important that you're not comparing yourself or comparing your spouse, comparing them to somebody else that you may or may not know.
Right.
And if you do know them, we don't know all the truth.
100%.
So your relationship is your relationship. Make it yours.
Right.
Protect it. Make it special. Guard it. Keep it. Because that's your life and that's your world.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose something so precious because of something that was unrealistic.
Right. Comparison is going to steal your joy. And we are only looking for the truth, and the only truth that there is, which is the Word of God.
100%.
Right. We're looking there first and foremost, and the only place God has spelled out, right, are the commandments and what we need to do to have a successful relationship and have a successful marriage. And we always say this, but that is his will for you, right? His will is for you to enjoy life and to have good days, right?
100%,
We are
100%.
not believing anything less than that.
So just quick highlights, because we watch these and we take notes and we try to apply them to our life. We try to apply them to the people that we coach. And so just a few tidbits. We're taking, well, it's reality TV, so how much is it real life? But we're taking these snippets to apply them to hopefully help. So one of the things we saw was a couple where everybody knows he said she looked like Megan Fox, and he was like, she lied to me.
Right.
And so there was obviously a miscommunication. Was it a lie? I don't know. But, there were unrealistic expectations set there.
Absolutely.
There's a lack of communication there. We've got this communication of, she's like, you don't love me and tell me I'm pretty.
Yeah.
And she, obviously we're seeing this need for
validation. And she's counting every single action of his. Like, you didn't kiss me at all today. And he's like, well, actually, if I think about it, I did.
Twice.
But she's like keeping that mental note already of like what he has done, what he hasn't.
He fired back with, hey, I worked all day, and the moment I came back down, I got off work, I came down here and I met your friends, right?
Right.
And so again, it's this competition of, I'm doing this, well, well, you're not doing this, and we're not acknowledging one another and giving us the grace. So that's one example. Another example was one of our favorite couples, and so far they haven't made it. Yeah. It was Ken and the other girl. Yeah. But we thought he had pretty good communication, because one thing like, oh, he does our training.
Yeah, I know.
He said,
we're so excited.
What I'm hearing what you say in this moment is you don't feel it's close. And she was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, bye.
Right. We were so excited because he said, I heard you say this. And we're like, yes, they're communicating. But then he didn't really follow through with what she was hoping to hear.
Right.
I mean, it kind of fell apart.
Now he's saying that the edit was showing him on his phone. And I hadn't heard that part.
They're
both saying that he really, whenever she needed something, it dropped, and he was very attentive.
Oh, he was present and stuff?
He was present in the moment. Okay. And then she said it wasn't an issue. But you don't want to be on your phone. That can be a huge detriment if you're talking. Even tonight, you were telling me some things. I'm like, you know what? Stop, because I'm not listening. All right. So let me just quit pretending. Right. Until I can finish this and give 100% of my focus. Absolutely. Because I have no idea what you said. Right.
It sets the tone, right? If somebody's like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and they're just scrolling along. I mean, it sets the atmosphere and the tone. But just to take accountability of like, hey, I really need to get this done real quick, and then I'm gonna fully focus on what you have to say 100%.
Right. We're over time, but one last thing, because you mentioned this is big for you, and we probably should have brought this up in the last episode. Okay. Because it was about blaming. Yes. And it was when Barbie girl, I don't know her name. Okay. But she was like to Jimmy, you stole this from me. You took it from me in my experience, and you ruined it. Yes. And she was just throwing him out.
Someone that didn't make it out of the pod. Yes.
And she's like,
I got you now.
And you were like, that's unfair.
That's completely unfair. Like, how are you going to put everything on one person when it's she's saying it's her experience, right? She has control of that. That's what she's allowing to happen. And, she put all the blame on the guy because he didn't pick her. So he totally ruined the entire experience, and it was all his fault.
Right. So, when it's not his fault that she went all in on him from day one, and he was dating other people.
Or even so, if you went through a relationship and ultimately you two weren't a match, that's not saying that he, screwed her life
fault,
over.
Right? It's we're not a match.
Right.
It's okay.
Right. Right.
You're not a bad person.
He wasn't being deceitful in the conversations or anything like that either. He was, trying to see where things led. And just because he didn't get there the way she wanted it to be, she was just completely blaming him for it. So we'll see what happens.
That's our conversation for tonight. This is what we do all the time, really. We just decided to record it. So hope you enjoyed this 1 year anniversary. Is this the 50th?
Yay.
I don't know if it's the 50th episode. But it's the 1 year anniversary. We're in March. We launched in March of 2023. Yes. It's March 2024. Yep. And man, we're so appreciative to you. We have something for you, though. If you haven't gotten it already, we have a communication planner, that was called.
Yep. The relationship planning guide. And so that's a great starting point, right? You're going to start there. You're going to be able to walk through our 3 steps. We say pray it, plan it,
right.
and pursue
Pray,
it.
plan it,
So
pursue
it walks you through those 3 steps and really puts your relationship as a priority, which it should be. Before you deal with everything else in life, we're going to put that relationship in its rightful place.
So you can do it together. You want to pray it together. You want to plan it together, and then pursue it together. So you want to click the link in the show notes or in the description below on YouTube and download. It's absolutely free.
That's right.
And we'd love to give this to you. So go get it today, right now. Just go do it and get that planner. You'll be glad you did. It'll be a great asset to you in your library. And thank you so much. If you got anything from today, please like and subscribe.
That's right.
Help push the video, help push the podcast to more listeners, more viewers like yourself who can benefit. And if you think someone you know can benefit, just copy paste that link and
That's right. Share.
Share. So thank you so much, and we will see you next week. God bless.